where she's responsible for skills, human rights sector, and the private sector foundation. Her story is one of grit and single-minded focus and testimony to the age-old saying, do not despise small beginnings. Great things come out of small starts. She started with $100, a kettle, and a wheelbarrow. Today, her company employs over 1,000 Ugandan, many of whom are young people and women. She owns the first fruit manufacturing plant in the country, a fruits farm in Inwoya on about 2,000 acres, and a farm institute with a housing capacity of 400 occupants per day. Julian has been a recipient of several prestigious awards, such as the 2020 UN Inclusive Business Award and the 2018 Commonwealth Entrepreneur of the Year Award, among others. Julian, can you please make your way in front? Allow me introduce the second panelist, Mr. Charles Makwanzi. Mr. Charles Makwanzi is an economist and a youth research manager at Restless Development Uganda. He has over 9 years of experience in youth engagement, advocacy, and managing research projects on youth unemployment, livelihood, education, health, and climate change for diverse non-government organizations within Africa and globally. As a youth research manager, Charles is working towards making data more accessible and actionable for development agencies who desire to translate research evidence into policy actions and impactful programs. Can I welcome you, Charles? Can you make your way to Can I introduce Mr. Raymond Kamugisha? Mr. Raymond Kamugisha is the Director, Presidential Projects and Industrial Hubs. He is a certified project management professional with a Master's in Science Construction Project Management from Makerere University. He formerly served as the Private Secretary to none other than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and he was in charge of youth affairs. He is also a renowned businessman heading Serena-based Aileka Group with interest in farming, construction, real estate, solar energy, and a chain of other businesses. Can I invite you, Raymond Kamugisha, to come and join? The next in my arsenal of people who are going to engage in this discussion, I have Mr. Julius Amole Ochaya, who is a program officer and assistant coordinator of the Youth Livelihood Program at the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. He previously worked as a senior community development officer at Nebi District Local Government. He is passionate about empowering youth to harness their socio-economic potential. He has served in public sector for over 2.5 decades. Next is Mr. I don't see Julius. Mr. Julius Ochaya is still missing. Oh, there he finds his way. Karibu. Next is Mr. Jacobo Eyeru, who is the chairperson of the National Youth Council of Uganda and a member of COMESA Youth Advisory Panel. He has previously served as the 3rd East African Community Youth Ambassador to Uganda and the National Head of the Debate Society of Uganda. Jacobo's other service roles included being a member of the African Union Youth Front on Coronavirus and a member of the African Union EU Youth Working Group and the Office of the African Union Envoy. Mr. Jacobo Eyeru, can you make your way to... Thank you very much. Before I go to the panel that is seated in front here, there is going to be a lead discussant. The lead discussant is representing the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, who is Mr. Martin Wandera. He is going to give the first shots at the discussion. Mr. Martin Wandera, kindly find your way to the podium. Can we clap for...
Thank you very much, my brother Mondo, the Minister of Youth and Children Affairs, the Honorable Mateke, the Chairperson of the National Planning Authority, the representative of the Executive Director, NPA, representatives of various development partners, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to start by confirming that I'm the Said Martin Wandera, and I am not Mr. Agre David Chibenge, the PS Gender. Because of other pressing responsibilities, he could not join us this afternoon, and he asked me to make an intervention on his behalf. Chair and distinguished participants, it's my honor to join you today for this dialogue to reflect on the challenge of youth, neither in employment nor in education. I wish to commend the NPA for this thought-provoking policy brief on the costs of NEET, as well as the very useful proposals they have made to address this challenge. Before I address myself to the substance of the brief, I wish to raise a point of conceptual clarification on the trend of NEET over the last 10 years. The paper notes that NEET population has almost doubled over the last decade, with an average rate of 8.4% over the last decade, and has risen from 2.5 million in financial year 2013 to 4.2 million in financial year 22-23. And this is projected to increase to 5.8 million. Ladies and gentlemen, the definition of employment in the National Labour Force Survey of 2012-13 was based on the resolution of the 13th International Conference of Labour Statisticians of 1982, which defined an unemployed person as someone who was engaged in an economic activity for pay, for profit, or own consumption. In other words, even the Chida Chonka at the time were considered to be employed. That is, people who are involved in subsistence economic activities. Later in 2013, in October, the 19th International Conference of Labour Statisticians did revise the definition of employment to exclude persons engaged in economic activities, but whose return was their own consumption. And today, you are employed if you are involved in an economic activity for pay or profit. If you are engaged in work for own consumption, statistically you are not considered to be employed. So you can clearly see that the two surveys were based on different definitions, and it is therefore not possible to make a comparison. I would therefore recommend that the paper is revised to do a comparison from the survey of 2016-17 to the one of 2019-21 to the most recent of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, to the substance of the brief, I now beg to return. In order to effectively use NEET data for policy purposes, we have to deconstruct the NEET population by asking several questions. Who are the youth in NEET? And why are they in NEET? The youth of interest in this discussion have three distinguishing characteristics. Namely, and it's important you note this because it's going to be very relevant for the points that I'm going to make. They are not in school or in training, and they are not in employment or are outside the labor market. They are not in school and are either not employed or are outside the labor market. I will explain this. You are unemployed if during the reference period you are without a job, you are looking for work, and you are available to work. And you are considered to be outside the labor market if during the reference period you did not have a job, you did express interest to work, but because of existing conditions, you are not available and you did not seek for work. And according to the Labor Force Survey of 2021, these were about 3.2 million. I think the policy brief has used some estimation to give the figure of 22-23. My intervention is based on the stats of the survey of 2021. Having identified who they are, there is need then to answer the question of why these youth are outside the labor market. The Labor Force Survey of 2021 characterized the youth outside the labor market as follows. There are 1.6 million who did not look for work, but they were available for work. 12,822 looked for work, but even if they had found a job, they would not be available to take on the job. And 1.55 million, about 1.5 million, never looked for work, and they were there and were also not available for work. The question that then comes to mind is, who are these 1.5 million plus who did not look for work and were also not available to work? On the basis of existing literature on this matter, from the ILO and other sources, the majority of this 1.5 million youth who did not look for work and were not available for work are likely to be, one, young people, because the working age population is from 14 to 65 to 64. Then they could have been young people, but this statistics is looking at 18 to 30. But literature also shows that they're likely to be persons who are tending to household care work. Mothers looking after families, looking after children, and that's why they are not available and did not look for work. The question that then follows, therefore, is, should we always label contributing family work as joblessness? Is there any value that our mothers who are at home contribute to this economy? I submit to you that yes, because I was raised by a mother who never went to work, but she greatly contributed to the welfare of the household in certain occasions, more than even my father who was working. So as we reflect about this data, we need to ask ourselves that question. We belong to the school as a means of gender, that family work is valuable work. Statistically, therefore, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. Our greater concern for policy purposes should be the 1.6 million youth who did not look for work but were available to work. And these are what economists sometimes will call discouraged workers. And therefore, if you add the 1.6 who did not look for work but were available to work, plus those who looked for work but were not available, you get about 2.5 million people. I'm used to money, I was about to say 2.5 million shillings. And therefore, the need of concern, from the way I see it, is less than 41%. And based on this crude analysis, it would be about 24%, because we cannot assume that all those who are not available and who did not look for work are people who are not contributing to the economy or who are poor. Even in Kololo, if you went there, they are stay-home moms and dads. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that we align ourselves with the reasons given by the NPA on the persistence, prevalence of need. They were very spot on. However, I wish to point out one other factor, that until NDP 3, employment was not mainstreamed in government programs. The NDP 3 was the first attempt, although some think it was not adequate enough, but it was a positive step. And this was a result of the fact that for a long time, the neoliberal school had dominated development planning in this country, where it was assumed that if there was growth, there was automatically creation of employment. But the statistics show you can have growth with weak intensity of employment creation. And to that, would like to add that jobs just don't happen we assumed that jobs would happen, and that's why we have this problem. Therefore, as I navigate towards the end, I would like to submit that, yes, there are many people in need, but there is no cause for despair. Instead, as the NPA has noted, it is a call for us to action. And I would like to say that the government has already taken a number of measures and interventions that over the short and medium term will lead to amelioration of this problem. The first is that employment has been mainstreamed in NDP. We are working with NDP, Ministry of Finance, and other departments and agencies to make sure that it is even more clear within NDP4. At the ministry, we have, working with the ILO, I'm happy they are here, we have developed a tool for mainstreaming employment in all government programs. So, Dr. Mvawala, we are already answering that question. Not only are we doing that, we have also developed a tool for employment impact assessment. We should be able, either in the midterm review of NDP4, to say for every shilling of government, how many jobs have been created. But this will not happen if everyone in government embraces the fact that all agencies of government have a responsibility to the creation of employment. I'm very happy that Dr. Mvawala raised the issue of monetary policy. For a long time, BOU has been largely focused on price stability. But many of you know that one of the responsibilities of the U.S. Reserve Bank is to promote employment, and we are happy NPA has picked this up. The other interventions that we are implementing at the ministry is the revitalization of apprenticeship. As Dr. Mvawala said, many skills are learned or honed on the job. So working with the ILO, we developed a national apprenticeship scheme. We've piloted in the hospitality sector, and we are rolling out into manufacturing and oil and gas. We also have a program for supporting Juakali enterprises where young people are given startup toolkits, and about 16,962 have benefited from this intervention across the country. Under UEP, about 214,000 women organized in about 20,000 groups have benefited from the YLP intervention, and many have grown their businesses from micro to small and medium. About 259,000 youth have benefited from the Youth Livelihood Program. We also hope that MYOGA and PDM will also contribute greatly in addressing the youth employment challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot measure what you can't count. Is that labor statistics has been scattered in UBOS and different MDAs. We, together with the ILO, are developing a labor market information analysis system. It's going to be a digital platform which will congregate all data on the labor market, from the census, from surveys, from administrative records in the Ministry of Education, NSSF, among others. And this will facilitate it will facilitate evaluation of the of how the labor market is performing, but will also support planning. Finally, the ministry, in collaboration with NPA, Ministry of Finance, and other MDAs, in line with the view that jobs just don't happen, we are revising the national employment policy and are developing the first ever national employment strategy. And I wish to submit with pleasure that the recommendations in this policy brief are very much in line with the key pillars of the draft national employment strategy, which are promotion of job-rich growth, investment and productivity. Due to the constraint of time, I will not break down the proposed interventions. Promotion of skilling and reskilling for employability. Promotion of labor market research and technological innovation. Strengthening compliance with labor standards and rights. Quite often this is forgotten, but if you look at the Labor Force Survey 2021, it shows that the median wage over the last 10 years has remained at about 200,000, meaning that more than half of the employed people earn less than 200,000. So it's not only a question of the quantity of employment that we should deal with, but also the quality of employment. And that's why the issue of standards and rights is important. There is also a pillar on promoting safe and healthy working environment, and finally, promotion of safe, orderly, and regular migration. Finally, good plans don't implement themselves. I therefore would like to reiterate the point raised by Dr. Ngendawala that there is need for strong coordination, because each government agency working together with the private sector contributes to employment creation. But importantly, programs for employment creation should be funded. It's therefore our appeal that beyond NDP4, beyond the employment policy and the national employment strategy, there must be more commitment for funding for these programs. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director Martin Wandera, for those remarks. One is the assurance that there is no cause for despair, that the government of Uganda is in charge, and you have heard the different interventions that we are developing to ensure that the needs issues are addressed. But also he asked some fundamental questions. Are the needs really there? And if they are there, are they 41%? He thinks they are about 20%. But even if they are 20%, it means they are there. And so he says that jobs will not simply happen. It's you and me to intentionally work at ensuring that the economy is producing the jobs that we want. What he didn't mention is that the population explosion is also a challenge for us to be able to produce the jobs that we need for the rapidly growing population. We continue to produce at 3% per annum, and I think that's unsustainable going forward. But having asked that, having asked whether the needs are there, can I have a clip to give us testimony that actually they are there, and that we can walk them out of being needs to being a different kind of people? My people on the machines, can I have the clip? There's a clip on youth NEET and youth who has transitioned from NEET. My people, are you there?
Erinnya lyange nze Kulumba Dauda Nelson nga mbeera ndejje. Ebyokusoma byange nasomako until when I finished senior 6. It wasn't an easy journey, especially from S2 up to when I finished senior 6. How I have managed how to survive up to date, because so far it is now 11 years since I finished to study senior 6. Ndowooza mu Luganda kiyinza okuvaayo obulungi tugamba nti mbadde mu kuyiriba. Nakola nnyo ebiseera ebisinga mu restaurants, naye nga mu restaurant omu tebanzikiriza kufumba kubanga saalina bikapula, so osaba omulimu ng'omufumbi nga tebakkiriza, so nembeeramu nga omutambuzi w'emmere mu kibuga, era mu kibuga nga bayita driver. Naye olunaku lumu kasitoma omu mu saloon Kampala Road awo yaŋŋamba nti mulwayo nnyo naye ekirungi oyogera bulungi ne bakasitoma osobola okukola omulimu omulala. So omukyalo oyo n'antwala, yali akola mu insurance company emu, ne ntandika okubeera kitunzi, era bwentyo we natandika okwetraininga nga nze okubeera kitunzi. Ebintu bya skilling ebyo ebyabavubuka nali mbiwuliddeko, era nagezaako n'okuba nga mbyegattako, naye ku kifo kye natuukamu baali bakola ku bawala bokka. Awo nga ku Crested Tower waliwo we bayita Subway wansi, waliwo projekiti ya His Excellence eyamba skilling the girl child, naye ne baŋŋamba nti baagala bawala bokka. So ng'omulenzi nkubye naye siina we nsobodde. Information ogiwulira neyita ku radio naye nga tomanyiwo watuufu osobola kgenda, naye awo nali ntuuseeko naye nga opportunity yali yamu bawala bokka. Gavumenti tubeebaza olw'omulimu ogwo, naye nze nga nze ndowooza mwandyongeddemu amaanyi, oba kye tuyita ku muntu wa wansi, obulanga obwo buve ku maleediyo ago bujje oba ku LC1 nti abantu ba wansi babumanyire ddala, oba bugende ku masomero gano ge tumanyi nga secondary schools. Omwana ava mu ssomero nga amaze emyaka 2 oba amaze senior 6, naye ng'ekintu ekyo kya skilling kyali mu ssomero kibayambako okuba nga nabo bavuddemu nga bayiga.
My name is Nyasa Helen. I did Bachelor's of Industrial and Fine Art from Makerere University, and I graduated in 2015. After graduating from campus, there was so much hustling going on. When you're from campus, you don't know exactly whether you're going to get the capital to start up your business, your own business. I didn't have the privilege to have that, so I used to hustle here and there to make sure that, I earn a living and, try to start up something of my own, which really took me some very long time to achieve. I look for opportunities. We've been doing this business for quite some time. When I was done with graduation, we started up a business of textile, like dealing in imported threads, zippers, and sewing threads. So we came up with the idea of manufacturing sewing threads locally here in Uganda. So with the help of UNDP, 3 years ago, they picked our idea and actually helped us to, we are now about to start manufacturing locally here, something that is going to help plastic bottles. What I request of our government is to change the education system. Education should be available to everyone, and also to create vocational schools to collaborate and to partner with entrepreneurs. Here we shall be able to overcome unemployment.
Thank you very much. Those are 2 stories, one of Kulumba and another of Helen, about the issue of transitioning. Before I get back to my panel, permit me recognize Professor Elia Hisari, the Principal, College of Business and Management Studies, Makerere University. Thank you for being here. Permit me recognize Honorable Chiyaga Hirare, I think that's Mawokota. Thank you for being here. Permit me recognize Honorable Flavia Kabahenda Rabuhoro, Chairperson Parliamentary Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development. Thank you, Honorable, for being here. Allow me to recognize Mr. Eric Wamlanga, Deputy Director. Thank you for being here. Allow me to recognize Professor Ibrahim Okumu, Dean of School of Economics, Makerere University. Allow me to recognize Dr. Susan Kavuma, School of Economics, Makerere University. Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, a board member of National Planning Authority. Thank you for being here. Team from UNICEF and team from EPRC, thank you for being with us. Now, no, clap if you mean to clap, please. Thank you very much. Now, I want to turn to my team. I'll start with Mr. Charisi Mukwanzi, Youth Research Manager, Restless Development. Mr. Charles Mukwanzi, the policy brief on needs and recommendations going forward have been meticulously articulated. But from your perspective, as part of civil society and using your own lenses where you sit, what can government do differently to address the challenges or barriers faced by needs in finding employment or pursuing education or training? You have 5 minutes in which you will talk uninterrupted. Karibu.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to start by recognizing the honorable ministers present here this afternoon, members of parliament, the executive director and leadership from the National Planning Authority, country representatives from UNFPA Uganda, representatives from GIZ, government representatives, development partners, and distinguished...
Now, let me serve you, Charles. In the interest of time, don't go through the protocol, just say protocol as already observed.
Exactly.
Because that way we save time.
And all protocol observed, of course. I've been asked to provide some recommendations on what more government can do to provide or support young people to get employment and transition into the labor market. Just to give a bit of context, over the last 10 years, Restless Development, the organization that I represent, in collaboration with other development partners such as the MasterCard Foundation and academic institutions such as Makerere University and the University of Cambridge, has conducted extensive research into the youth unemployment challenge in Uganda. And so I'll share some of the recommendations that have been presented by young people through these various research projects that we've been conducting. I would also like to first mention that the recommendations I'll be sharing here very much validate also the recommendations that have been presented by the previous speakers. So I think it's important that we recognize that these recommendations are perfectly aligned, and the policy brief presented and launched today speaks to the existing situation that we have also been seeing through our research. So firstly, I think the government needs to address the mismatch between local opportunities and the relevance of education and skills training. By this, I'd like to allude to the expansion of vocational training opportunities and also further investment into digital skills. So much as the presidential industrial zonal skilling hubs have been addressing part of this, which we commend the government for, I think it is also important for further investment into vocational training programs that cover a wider range of skills, from traditional trades to digital skills that could support emerging technologies. Emerging technological innovations have provided young people with more economic and livelihood opportunities. I think that cannot be ignored at the moment. And young people that we've been speaking to through our research projects have been calling for improvements in infrastructure and connectivity, especially in rural areas. This would enable them to have equal access to information and services such as internet access and mobile phone networks, through which they can start to interact with these technologies and also position themselves very well to take advantage of emerging opportunities. There's also a need for collaboration with industry partners to help provide hands-on training, like we've heard from previous speakers, and much needed certification for young people to secure employment. Our research also shows that the provision of soft skills training, in addition to hard skills that has been getting much of the focus, is equally important. So training in areas such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, time management, and the soft side that young people need to thrive when they finally secure this employment should not be ignored. And it will be important for them to also secure employment or transition into the labor market. Therefore, this will help close the skills gap associated with a formal education system, which has been mostly traditional, and to equip young people to start their own businesses by taking advantage of technological innovations and prepare them to face the challenges of the labor market as they enter. Secondly, I think the UNFPA representatives would agree with me on this. It's important that we also prioritize the removal of obstacles to young women's participation in decent work. As alluded to the previous speaker, the lion's share of young people aged 15 to 30 who are not in employment, in education, or in training are young women. And I would like to quote data from the International Labour Organization in 2021, which stipulates that 76% of youth in needs in Uganda were young women, thus representing a higher proportion when compared to men. So it would be logical, therefore, to address and hopefully remove some of these barriers that prevent young women from participating in the labor market, where the issue, as is mostly the case, can be cited as family responsibilities involving the care of young children and household care. An approach that has been applied in other countries includes the provision and the recognition of such care as part of the active labor market interventions. Government and civil society should also therefore work with communities to address the cultural barriers affecting youth economic opportunities, such as gender beliefs and land ownership practices. Improvements in these areas could definitely go a long way in addressing the economic challenges that young people are facing, especially with regards to securing employment in Uganda. My third recommendation, and that has been put forward by young people that we've been engaging through our research projects, is to improve labor market interventions. Of course, they're there, but we still feel more can be done to improve these. And I think the previous speaker also alluded to this when he mentioned about apprenticeships. So with regards to this, developing a more comprehensive apprenticeship system is needed. Our partners from GIZ would probably agree with this, as we learn from countries such as Germany, who have effectively managed to address youth unemployment over the past couple of decades. The government could work towards establishing or strengthening the apprenticeship systems so that it becomes dual, in the sense that it combines classroom education with practical work experience. This would therefore help young people experience a smoother transition from education into the labor market. Also, introducing incentives that support labor market policies, such as subsidized employment programs, could be another option. Labor market policies such as wage subsidies, for example, could be a good incentive for employers, especially, to hire needs and to target young people when they're recruiting, and also to support businesses and strengthen small businesses so that they can create more jobs. Fourthly, would like to encourage innovation, investment in agricultural innovation, which we heard before that young people are not finding this sector appealing, and yet it has the potential to be one of the biggest employers for young people. However, what can become more appealing for young people to go back into this sector is innovation. So we did a research on inclusive agricultural technologies, and young people expressed that they need more investment into building innovation hubs and incubation centers. And ideally, these would be spaces that provide access to both online and offline resources, access points to innovators to build skills and use tools. And also, they should be supported with trained experts that offer technical support to motivate these innovators and offer connections for the innovators to share and exchange knowledge. While building these spaces, efforts must be intentionally put towards designing them in such a way that they are broadly accessible for young people, regardless of their exposure or expertise, but also particularly for young people in rural areas. Consideration must also be given to these spaces to see how they can be more accessible to the end users of these agricultural technologies. And lastly, I think this is a very pertinent point that young people have expressed. They would like to be supported in income generation, entrepreneurship, and not only the expansion, but also survival of their small businesses. For young people to secure financing for new businesses, a lot is required from them. And so we could work, or the government could work with financial institutions to ensure that these requirements are more suitable for young people. In general, young people recommend that existing financial services should be made more youth-friendly. Microfinance institutions should also consider lending money to promising individuals with clear business plans, as opposed to prioritizing young people or those that are currently organized in groups. I think that's usually the priority in terms of providing financial services or loans to small businesses. This would therefore reduce the collective responsibility and the frustrations that many potential and talented young entrepreneurs are currently facing. And lastly, before I rest my case, I think there is a need for continuous investment in research and evaluation. And with that, I'd like to commend the existing work that the NPA is doing in collecting data, and also the proposed system that was mentioned by the previous speaker of the labor market information analysis system. Such is needed in order to collect the data that could help give us a clearer picture and help government and the private sector align, make data-driven decisions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charles. Charles, before I let you go, there's one issue that I've mentioned that has not been talked about in the paper, and that's the issue of the rapid population growth. Do you think that when we say that in Uganda unintended pregnancy stands at 46% per annum, and that teenage pregnancy is at 21%, and that population growth is 3%, you don't think there's a problem with this, as long as we do what you have talked about, or you think that there's something we need to do about the population growth of this country? In one sentence.
There's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed, but what I could say is the approach that we must take must be holistic. So not only looking at the recommendations that I've mentioned here, but also looking at the broader spectrum of development issues that affect young people, such as health and sexual reproductive rights, which would be very instrumental in addressing this population challenge and harnessing the demographic dividend that Uganda is facing.
Did you read about the other man who married 7 wives in one day? Thank you. Thank you very much, Charles. Let me go to my brother, Raymond Kamugisha. Raymond Kamugisha, Director of Presidential Initiatives and Industrial Hubs at State House. The policy brief commends the initiative the initiative that you are executing. And apart from its limited coverage and sometimes being short of the kits, what lessons have you learned from implementing the industrial zonal hubs programs? What do you plan to do differently in orienting the skills program towards employment and entrepreneurship of the needs. Do you think there are lessons that you have learned over time that you want to talk to us about, that this is what is Nachichen right now that we are planning to do, to downgrade the profile of needs in this country? Raymond.
Thank you so much, our moderator. I don't know whether it was it's a cold afternoon or something. People were so quiet, I don't know. You're scared.
Let me say that tea is ready. They have served at the high table. They may not serve everybody, but feel free, when you see no congestion at the back, walk stealthily and get a cup of tea and warm yourself. Thank you, Raymond, for reminding me about that.
I was meant to say that people, I don't know whether people are very worried about the challenge. People are quiet, calm, not clapping, I don't know.
They have cause to be worried.
But anyway, allow me thank National Planning Authority and Government of Uganda for being spot on, always taking keen initiatives like this to make sure that we keep in the know, and then they do research so that we don't get to the extent of getting the time bomb. Now that we are aware of the challenges, we can address them. It is true, Comrade Mondo, that we are implementing zonal industrial hubs. They are across the country. There are 19 of them under stewardship of State House, but we work with other government agencies. We work well with the Ministry of Local Government. They sourced the land where these hubs are. Totally, I think 80% it's government land. So people offered, the local government gave us land, and then we're able to construct and equip, and we've started the process of implementation. We have gone now to intakes. We're going to start the next intake next month, and so far so good. The public is very much interested in this program. Actually, whenever we host leaders, because the way we design this program, it's a people-based program. Like how we select beneficiaries. They are selected by district leaders. Each district has a committee of 10 people. We have the chairperson for youth at the helm of this program, and of which we said that before they send us the beneficiaries, the chairman youth must sign on those few beneficiaries so far we are getting. Then we have the DISO, we have chairperson, Women Council. We didn't forget the people with the disabilities. The chairpersons are there on that committee. We have the elected leaders, that's the chairperson 5, or if it is because we take administrative entities. These are district, cities, and municipalities. So the elected leaders take charge of that. Then also we have the RDC and DISO to vet and check the participants they send to us. So then we have the cow heading the technical arm. We have the district production officer, agriculture officer, because we have a 4-acre model in. Then there's the district commercial officer because we have enterprise and value addition. So it's a committee of 10 people constituted at the district. They select these beneficiaries that come to zonal industrial hub. These 19 zones are zoned in the origin, I think, districts of Uganda. Carefully, I think, spelled out by the president. So we have them across all over the country, and people have embraced. But the main challenge as implementers we face right now, we have too much pressure. People are interested in this program, and we have nowhere to accommodate these people at the moment. So it's also an opportunity that it's an intervention that has come on board, and people are interested in it to take off. So what must be addressed quickly is expanding this program The hub has a capacity to hold around 600 per industry hub. Right now we're operating at 240 because these are residential programs. We pick people, even someone who has never stepped in class. As low, if you've never stepped in class, these are the people we've been talking about in NITS here. These are the people we are targeting. You've never stepped in class, no academic qualification, we pick you and skill you and become productive, and you go and into gainful employment. We have got testimonies of people who came without even, like in NAPAC. In NAPAC, we got these Karachunas, people who are wrestling. Now they came, we skilled them, they are productive. They are busy welding. Not knowing English or anything does not stop you from picking a skill and being productive and being self-sustaining. So those are the interventions we are doing so far. But would like to expand this program so that many people can benefit from it. There are regions, for example, like Busoga. Busoga, we have 15 administrative units within the Busoga zone. And if they share a small number of 240, because we wanted people to concentrate and we teach them in 5 months so they get hands-on these skills in 6 months. So you can't have this calling people, so it's a residential program. We provide for them meals, accommodation, and it's a free program, free of charge, catered for by government of Uganda with stewardship of the president. So we would like to expand, first of all, the dormitory capacity now so that we can be able to accommodate at least 600, operate at full capacity. And then next, of course, we have plans already, we've made plans. So if I've seen policy leaders, I've seen members of parliament here, if they can support it, I think it will go ahead. And to tell my brother Hilary Chiaga, Honorable, this program, much as it is hosted in State House, we say no politics. In these committees, as for beneficiaries who come, we make sure that the beneficiaries have come from all the political divide. For example, the Mayor Jinja is on my committee in Busoga and is a member of the National Unity Platform. So to say the LC5 of Mitiana, Mr. Nshime, the Mayor of Mitiana Municipality, much as they're in opposition, they are. Even when we had a graduation recently in Acholi, you saw Honorable Gilbert Olanya. He was there, really. This is something we don't need to do politics here. Like these people have explained here, this youth have, if challenges, if things escalate, they know nobody.
Okay.
So we have a plan, one to expand to full capacity, then equipping. We've talked about Juakari. There's the Juakari kit the director talked about. For us, we believe that you don't need to work in isolation. You have to work with other government agencies.
And Raymond, that's the point I want to drive on. And the director has decried the fact that there seems to be a lack of coordination in many of the interventions we have in government. So our thinking is that perhaps the resources could be enough, but we seem to be disjointed. How is the industrial hubs, how are they linked to what the director has talked about? And what is your view about the whole of government approach or the multi-sectoral strategy to solving the problems of needs?
Yeah, I think as industrial hubs, we are trying to play a bit of a coordination role. And I think if we came together, we can do better. Because when you go in districts where programs are hosted, like Emioga, YRP, all these good PDM, they still tell you that go and tell the president to equip these people with 1 million when they are graduating. Now imagine. Raise a Myoga
Okay.
program, already in existence. There's the Joakar kit there. You want us to be like these functions where you find it's a ceremony, they are planting a tree, fortunately it is raining and someone has a watering can. Now, that becomes very funny. So, we are saying we need to come together and coordinate, and we are in, I think, steps of inviting the Minister of Gender, Microfinance, Support Center, to come on board, and we see all these opportunities that are there so that we can equip these people. Because before, we do in the skilling, the girl child, what one colleague was talking about here, we used to finish and give someone 1 million. But we found it was not effective. Now what we are saying, we are planning that apart from that individual equipping, you also class and organize these people. For example, we have tasked district leaders, like within the trading town councils. If we can get land available there, we can create a showroom, like we have done one in on Express Highway here. So that when these people leave Industry Hub, they have been skilled, they go to their respective districts. One, they have somewhere they can converge to create a market. Two, also they have been equipped with maybe some machinery they can't access at the moment, can't afford, which we will teach them with. Then they are able to transit slowly, and when they are picked up, then it can be a revolving kind of program.
Thank you.
After 3 years, you can leave and start your own enterprise, and then other newcomers keep.
Thank you, Raymond. When I get back to you, I'll be asking you who should convene these diverse teams. Should it be Office of the President? Should it be State House? Should it be Prime Minister's Office? Should it be NPA? Be thinking about that. I'll be getting back to you.
Okay.
Can I now move to Mr. Ochaya? Mr. Ochaya, you are coordinating YRP and UWEP, which some people feel they are skeletons now. But you're going to tell us, how can we best orient the scaling programs and programs geared at accessing youth to finances towards creating employment and entrepreneurship development for needs? I was taken aback when in the presentation I learned that Uganda loses approximately 102 billion annually as foregone pay as you pay as you earn tax because of the needs are disengaged, so they are not in employment, and so you can't tax them. And so how do you find your program, YRP and UWEP, in addressing this problem so that we can get the 102 billion for the economy? That would be a good boost for even what Raymond is talking about. We can plow that into more training.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator, my brother Mondo, and the active audience. Just to put the participants in the perspective of YLP.
Julius, can you use the microphone? Press it somewhere.
I have already pressed it. Okay, maybe it is far. Okay, just to put my dear people in attendance in the perspective of YLP and WEP. These are government programs solely financed by government of Uganda resources, and we give interest-free loans to youth and to women. And the youth are between 18 to 30 years, and the women 18 up to 79 years. The youth, our partners are supposed to use the money for 3 years to ensure that they improve on their lives, and within the 3 years, you should have returned the money. And the money is given to other people who are waiting. So it is a revolving fund. And we give this money to people who are in groups, numbering 5 to 15. For the youth, 30% must be female.
Julius,
If all of them are female, no
Julius,
problem.
let's be clear.
Yeah.
You give money, you lend money.
Well, okay.
Yes, because we want to be
It
clear.
is
because if
a
you
loan.
give money, I don't have to return.
You have to
If
return it.
So you give
You have
me,
to
you lend
return
me.
it. You have to return it.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying it is revolving. You have to return it and then you give it to other people.
And
So
leave
you
it to
can
other
say we
people.
lend money interest free.
Yeah.
There is no interest. And I was saying the numbers should be 5 to 15. And 30% should be female, especially for the youth. Among the objectives, one of it is to provide marketable vocational skills. And that fits into this, what we are talking about, the nets. In the perspective of the nets, under the youth, we have so far reached around 281,000 youth. And of these, actually 61.5% fit in the category of the nets. I am talking of 34.6% as school dropout. These are the people we have reached. I'm also talking about those who have completed primary, but they have nothing to do. That is 20.6%. And I'm talking of those who have never attended any schooling, and that's around 8%. If I add persons with disabilities, they're around 2.8%. So we are there in the ecosystem of the nets already. Now, we give skilling, or we skill the youth. And as I said before, this is a loan. And the maximum amount of money we give is 25 million for the group. But the average has been around 9 million shillings. And the youth or the women are free to choose any enterprise or any type of skill they want, as long as it is legal. Like for instance, the youth cannot say they want to go and retail petrol or fuel because it is illegal. You must have a petrol station. But they can do also, oh, you want to sell marijuana because it is very productive. But it must be legal. Now, coming back to your question, how have we been doing it? First of all, there is no entry requirement. And remember, it is the youth who requests for the money or the women who request for the money. So it is like a demand-driven. You don't request, we don't provide it for you. So number one, there is no entry requirement. As long as you are a Ugandan and you feel you fall within the age bracket, you are done with that. And you should be able to participate in the skilling program. Number two, the content and the duration is decided by the beneficiaries. For us to just give broad themes like tailoring, metal fabrication, but the way it is done is decided by the trainees and the trainers. And it is the trainees who select the trainers. That is a beauty with it. And we don't collect anybody in a powerful building somewhere. These skilling programs are delivered within the locality of the youth themselves. So we don't encourage an arrangement where these youth are taken somewhere and then trained and something like that. No, once you have given them the money, that they have identified their trainer, they identified the training venue. Within the money we give, we provide for a budget for the trainer and for hiring the facility. So then they proceed with the training. Normally, the minimum we have been doing is 2 months, and the maximum has been 6 months, depending on the technicalities involved. When the youths are being trained, they are provided with the tools and equipment. And again, the money is given to them. They're the ones who go and buy these items. Let's take, if a youth are interested in acquiring skills of garment cutting, they're the ones who are going to buy the necessary equipment. It is not us. It is them to buy because they know what they want, guided by the trainer. And also they're the ones who pay the trainer. It is not the ministry. Once you have given them the money, and this money goes direct into their account, they are well to go about with paying their trainer. For us, what we do is we provide support supervision. One, to ensure that they are not cheated by the trainers, but also that the skills they should have acquired at the end of the period is acquired. The other thing that we do is the use of the local experts. In every village, in every sub-county, you get local experts who are maybe, if a group wants to do salon service, start turning the hair to look very beautiful, there are people who are doing it already. So we link them to these local experts, one for the purpose of polishing their skills, but secondly also for marketing. What my colleague, the researcher, talked about, the issues of the soft skills. It is already the people who are in the business who are helping them to do that. And it has worked so well.
Julius,
yes.
This program started financial year 13-14.
Yes, please.
It will be 10 years next year. If given an opportunity, what would you do differently? In two sentences. What
we do differently, I think there are, number one is the issue of standardization. I'll give you an example. There is a youth group in Rubaga who are doing liquid soap. Then they got a market in some of the supermarkets, but the supermarkets could not put their products on the shelves without the standards from UNBS. So they had around 4 different types of products, and they were being charged by UNBS for each product around 1.2 million shillings for each product, and the youth could not manage. So the issue of standards, I think the government entities, if we can come together and then subsidize these rates, because we know if a youth group has benefited from YLP, they just need an introductory letter from the peers. Then also the process of acquiring standards. The other thing is the other thing that we would do differently is the cost of skilling. Currently, the cost of skilling is covered as a loan, and that scares the youth and the women. If we are given the chance, we would have the cost of skilling not as part of the loan, but this would be part of a grant. It would be like a grant.
Yeah. Thank you, Julius. We are running out of time, but let me I'll be coming back to you to shed more light about the GROW program. Everybody is talking about the GROW program. How is it linked with the current programs? How will it link with the different interventions that we have in the country? But let me turn to Dr. Adieri, Julian Adieri Omara, founder and CEO Delight Uganda Limited. Dr. Julian, you have a wealth of experience in the issues we are talking about, creating employment for both the women and the young people, issues of ensuring that people go into self-employment. What are some of the things in your view that you think can work and work so well for the young people that we are talking about?
Thank you. All protocols observed.
And by the way, before Dr. Julian comes in, we agreed with my team that we shall observe a minute of silence Dr. Julian lost the father last week. That's true, last week. And so even coming here is because she's made of steel. She wouldn't have come. So can we observe a minute of silence in remembrance of Julian's father? May your father, who is your role model, rest in eternal peace.
Amen. I'm so delighted, and I want to say thank you, Mr. Mondo. I'm a doctor in agriculture and rural transformation, and I work a lot with the informal sector. And this is, I think, a right topic for me. We use neither in employment nor education or training. Those are the people we work with. To me, I believe they need to be shown what to do and how to create employment for themselves. Because you will agree with me, if you've not gone to school, you are not at school, you are not skilled, you are not trained, where can you go? Apart from creating your own employment. We've managed to do it in Noya, and I think I have people who will witness, like our professor here, he was there. We have managed to transform 11,800 outgrowers. How have we done it? We bring them to the institute in the evening at our Delight Farm Institute for hands-on skilling. We start with psychology, mindset change. We talk to them that evening when they arrive at the farm. Early in the morning, we do the farm tour. It takes us like 5 to 6 hours for our youth to see, our women to see what we have managed to do. After that, we take them in the garden. We show them how we have managed to do it. Starting from the nursery, the orchard, we have a dairies model where we do seasonal crops. In northern Uganda, time and memorial, they do season crops. And every year in, out. We just improve their model. We put in cash crop. Now we start, after showing them how you integrate the two, in the season crop, like the first season, you plant granules, you plant simsim, you plant beans, you can get 2 to 3 million in an acre. In the second season, you can do a puripuri sorghum, you can do millet, you get also 2 to 3 million per acre. When the cash crop you put in, that has been mangoes. With the mangoes, when it is 4 to 5 years, you start earning 3 million. When it reaches 7 million, the 7 years, you can get 8 million. Now, when you calculate the 8 million, that is per year, plus the money you get from the season crop, which is like 6 million, you are earning more than $1 million. You are a person who have not gone to school, but you've learned by doing. And we don't charge any fee at our institute, so long as you are willing to give in, to come and we do together. And we have managed to transform the informal sector. As I talk today in Noya, if you come and talk about Adieri, if you are the MP, you will never get a vote. Because for us, they know Adieri is their donkey. Adieri has shown them how to make money, how to create employment, and how to parent the children. We get the old mothers who have never gone to school. When we sit in the evening, we start planning the life journey, how to be rich. That is always our topic. And when we all agree, yes, everybody has a capacity to be rich, whether you have money, whether you have land, or whether you have nothing in life. I want to say thank you to the people of northern Uganda. A daughter in the north has never been denied of land. We have more than 11,000 land user rights within our custodian. It's a matter of going, you beg for land. They say, okay, you are not taking away the land, use the land. We use our hands to take the land. because we know we don't have the money, because for us we don't have any support from government. At times we get development partners who chip in now and then. When they are not there, it's a responsibility of us, social entrepreneur, to transform the women, the youth, and ensure that they work for themselves. I want to tell you, Ugandans, we have it all, and we are the richest in the whole world. There is nowhere in the world where you can get 2 seasons in a year. The flat land is for mechanized agriculture, and a season where you can grow everything it grows. I want to invite you to come to Noya. We have managed to establish a farm of 2,000 acres, all planted. We've
Did you
never
say 200, 2,000?
2,000 acres.
2,000
1,000 acres of mangoes, 300 acres of guava, 50 acres of citrus. We have planted all the fruits, jaca fruits. This year we planted macadamia. We planted cashew nut. Macadamia is 50 acres. Cashew nut, we have at least 26 acres. Professor is there coming. He came with a team from National Planning Authority. He will be my witness. My sister, Victoria Sectorico, has been there. People have seen the farm. We have done it from nowhere, a humble, poor beginning. And I want to assure you, in Uganda, it's your responsibility, it's my responsibility to create employment. Those people who have not gone to school, government cannot manage them because, one, the technical team, the way they train and the way they skill, they tell people what to do. But for us, we show people what to do and how to do it, and they make their own money. And it's also our responsibility as parents to parent. May the soul of my daddy rest in peace. We grow up at 5 in the morning. We used to go to the garden, dig, and we had a calendar. By 7, you are preparing to go to school, and we started all. I will tell you about my cousin brother, who is a Director General now. We were there burying our dad. He said, yes, he made me to be a man what I am today because we were parented. And that is a gap which was missed from the beginning. And for us, we start with that gap now, getting the old mothers, so that they can take up their responsibility to talk to their children, to be responsible enough to work for themselves. The more you think it government, you are going to have those funds and you donate handouts. No, you're just spoiling us. You're just disorganizing us. We want government to do your part. We need you to work on infrastructure. We need to have the power. We need to have the roads. We need to have the industry set up or interest-free money so that for us as investors, we can borrow the money and set the industries and run them on the way we run the private sector. I started Delight Uganda in 1996. Up to now, there is no month I've ever failed to pay taxes. There is no month I have ever failed to sell shares. Even up to now, I send a lorry. They go route selling, they bring back the money. I have to pay the workers. I have to pay everything to meet all, no matter however hard the situation is. Even when these things of taxes became so hard, one thing I learned, government is a big brother. You must pay all the taxes. You must meet your obligation, and you must pay the workers. So I really want to recommend National Planning Authority, when you are planning, first do your part as government. If we can have all the infrastructures and organize the market, for us as private sector, we can create our own employment. Because when I look at the outgrowers we work with, majority of them have managed to expand from 1 acre to 2 acres, others from 2 acres to 3 acres. We have managed to run the institute minus a single support from government. And even to make roads, what hurts me more is the idea to make a road when we made the 28-kilometer road. If the road is made, the power is there and the support, because we signed the MOU with Ministry of Agriculture. If I need the technical team, I just call maybe the PS or the technical team of agriculture to come and help me. We've worked well with Noya district. I even got an appointment on the local development program as a member, and I am really serving. So I really want to encourage you people who are in the room to be the investors, to create the jobs, because you all will leave your formal employment and you have to retire. Where are you going if you cannot start your own farm and create jobs for other people to come and work for you? I want to tell you that we are the richest in Uganda. The 41% we are looking at, those are the people to produce the raw materials we need in our industries. Those are the people to produce the rice we can export than buying rice from Tanzania. Those are the people to produce the simisim, to produce the beans, or we need to sell outside Uganda. We only need to make a few adjustments to look at the smaller needs of those people who have not gone to school, the youth, and also to talk to them. If I can tell you, I've been calculating a lot of billions. I was calculating planting macadamia, 10,000 trees. Then my mind said you can plant 15,000, making 5 billion per year. That is because from one tree you can make, after 7 years, 200 kilos at the cost of 3,000. That is 600,000 per tree. Now, if I have 15,000 trees, that's how much money am I making? Do I need to go to borrow? Do I need to depend on anybody? I want to say, Ugandans, it's our responsibility to organize ourselves and do things well, and also work together with government, because it is us who are government. If I had remained in Kawempe making only years, by now I would have closed. But because I went to Noya, I got the land. I did not buy all the land. I did not have the money. But we negotiated with the landlord that, okay, plant for me. I plant for him here. He give me the free land on this. So Ugandans, we need really to have our country at heart. We must serve. If you are in a government, get your money, invest with us. If you are earning a salary, at least a third of your money, invest it. We are planting a forest right now. That forest will never be cut till 30 years. We intended to plant at least up to 500 acres. And with the community, we have already signed with TRIO to ensure we plant 10,000 hectares of trees, including the medicinal trees, like neem trees. We also be making our own insecticide to treat our fruits, where we start getting medicinal plants. We have it all, and we have done it. I want to invite people to come in Noya, come and see. So
Thank
I
you
want to
very
say
much.
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Julian.
Thanks so much.
Now, fellow Ugandans, if you had to invest and push a developer, a local developer, where would you put your money other than putting it into Julian's enterprise? Started with a wheelbarrow, $100 and a kettle. Now, 2,000 acres, 11,800 outgrowers, and employing 1,000 Ugandans. Where else can we invest? Now, Mr. Jacobo Eyero, Chairman, National Youth Council of Uganda, you came in, you have listened. What's your take on this discussion going forward?
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mondo. I want to commend the speakers before me for the great job. I also want to commend the efforts of the National Planning Authority. These issues of numbers in Uganda seem to come from so many places. National Population Council deals largely with the question of a demographic dividend, and they get their own numbers of describing the problem among the youth. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics is legally and statutorily mandated to have numbers, and sometimes I feel like the numbers confuse people. And as you've heard, the Commissioner for Labor was disputing the numbers. I think young people in Uganda don't care so much about numbers. I think young people care about opportunity. Do they feel these things we are saying? When we say the Youth Livelihood Program exists, we have given out money to 240,000 youth. Do 10 million people feel the presence of 240,000 receivers? Because the number is 10 million who are youth, 240,000 have received. When we say the skilling program for the president is admitting 240 people, does the rest of the community feel the impact of that presence? No, none of the needs is really interested in what the numbers look like on a national scale. They don't even have the money to reach Serena Hotel. What, therefore, do I feel like we should focus on? For me, the questions are in whether our models are working and whether we are serious about the workability of our models. I'll give you an example. The Presidential Skilling Initiative has tremendous capacity in skilling, tremendous. I've visited about 2 hubs. The National Executive Committee of the Youth Council has been visiting many hubs across the country. And even as someone who attended mechanical engineering school in Makerere, I could not believe the equipment level in the Presidential Skilling Hub. But the young person, the young man, the young woman who is skilled leaves and they go back to being a NEET. As soon as they have left, extremely skilled, no startup kit. The Ministry of Gender, on the other hand, has a program called Green Jobs. The role is to give out startup kits, largely. And they go around giving out, but the State House Skilling Hub needs startup kits, and they don't have. For me, it's about whether these things are working, and this is where we need to get serious as a country. If you have one program that gives out skills, the other program that gives out machines, why, for the future of this country, don't they sit on the same table? That's the first question. I've been moving around the country. You've talked about 10 years of the Youth Livelihood Program, but it's actually 6 years. For 4 years, the program had been stopped. For 4 years. In 2019, government stopped recapitalization and money basically stopped revolving. So between 2019 and the entry of COVID, the program had what I can call a seizure medically. You are neither knowledgeable about the presence of money, but nobody is also asking you to bring back the money. The program nearly died because the young person who had a date said, since I have the opportunity to finally eat and there is COVID and the government has said the program is going to PDM, therefore there is no reason for me to pay back. The National Executive Committee, and I'm glad some of the members are here, and the National Youth Council insisted that money that the country has invested in young people, if you are saying there are some that are getting it right, the next level is to ask, what are the rest getting wrong? It is not why, therefore, should we shift from this program to the next without seeing what makes this program succeed. I remember our fight. I think the Minister of State for Youth is here. She can bear us witness. I don't know how many times we engaged them as ministers and insisted until they went to cabinet and said, if we don't rest this matter, the youth leadership will not rest the matter. As I speak to you now, because of that fight, 38 billion, not just for youth, but even women benefited from the energy of the youth effort, returned into circulation. Just last financial year, just moving around, over 500 new youth groups were able to receive startup money. The NEET does not really care who is bringing the money. What they need is the money to go into the field and have some competitive leverage. That is where this room should have focus. How do we get opportunities to this group? Not specifically how many are they, why has a problem come, and what targets do we need to have? How do we solve the problem? These are the opportunities. How do we solve the problem? And I'm glad today we've had a good attempt from National Planning Authority on what the solution should be. And there are some models. I was just noticing one. The International Labour Organization has 3 models for addressing the needs problem. It says, depending on where financing is going globally, you need to strategically either use a greening model, a caring model, or a digitizing model. The greening model is how Uganda has a Green Jobs project. Global financing towards startup is becoming a language of sustainable financing and green jobs, green industrialization, sustainable development. And unless we are able to anchor around that, you can't tap into that money. There is a lot of money in something called the Adaptation Fund, which can help farmers start irrigation schemes even on small scale. If you ask how many of the Uganda Farmers Federation know about the Adaptation Fund and who is allowed to present your proposal on behalf of Uganda to the Adaptation Fund, I bet you not there will be only 1% of farmers that know about it. There is a digitizing model. One of the propositions here has been the BPO, that we can use business process, I forget the fullness, but it's outsourcing people to do for your business somewhere. India has the best modeling of this. The biggest necessity for BPO business is internet sustainability and reach. The digitizing model of the International Labour Organization says, how do you get more people receiving information at a very cheap rate, and that will just catalyze market development. And young people will tell you, when we closed Facebook because of politics, the number of youth businesses we had was also a conversation on its own that needed to be compared either pre or post the decision. If we say we were handling politics, then we can say, after how long do we come back to the conversation of what were we hurting? Because we've never come back to that conversation. I have spoken to the Minister of ICT about it, and we've never come back to it. But you go to Kenya, you go to Rwanda, you go to Tanzania, and you cannot believe how many opportunities are brought out because young people just have digital access. The other model is the caring model. We are talking about neither in employment, but the other two are very critical: education or training. Education is not the mandate of the NEET. It's the mandate of our government, for which I am a member, for which many of us here are members. If we are to check, for the last 10 years, all National Planning Authority documentation has pointed to the need for vocational training being a priority. But that has never translated into serious advocacy for UBTEC as an institution, TVET as institutionalized financing from the government priority. When we met the president the first time we had the idea of the skilling hubs, we said, Your Excellency, good and as beautiful and as caring as it is, it does not solve the problem in the scale we require. Either you finance a district level skilling hub with a capacity of at least 1,000 young people, or we get something that answers the numbers question. And Biamugisha has just told you, engineer has just told you they have a problem with the numbers. 240 means one person per sub-county for 8 districts. Now, in Kampala alone, if you picked one person from every sub-county, in Kampala the equivalent of a sub-county would be a parish. You are joking.
Now, Jacobo, In Uganda, they say, Soko teke wakati.
So let me just mention my
No.
statement.
Simba wakati,
Okay.
This discussion is becoming very interesting. And I don't want to cut you short. I want us to continue interrogating this subject. But I must do something around this time. The representative of the Right Honorable Prime Minister has another business to attend to. And so I have negotiated, and we have agreed that she will come, make her statement, then she will take leave of us. Then we continue with this discussion, since the discussion is extremely interesting. May I now take this rare and singular honor to invite Honorable Sarah Mateke Nyirabashisi, representing the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, to come and make a statement. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Honorable members of Parliament who are here, heads of the diplomatic missions, representatives of development partners, the chairperson and members of the National Planning Authority, permanent secretaries here, government officials present, youth leaders here, both from NYC and UNSA, members of the press, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. For the interest of the record, I'm not the Prime Minister. This is Nyirabashisi Sarah Mateke, the Minister of State for Gender, Labor and Social Development, Charge of Youth and Children. Apologies from the Prime Minister. She was on her way here, but due to other conflicting duties, she was unable to reach here because she was called for another activity. So I'll read her speech as it is written. It is my pleasure and joy to join you to this 13th National Development Policy Forum, focusing on the situation of the youth, neither in employment nor education or training in our country. Civic engagement is another cornerstone of a thriving society. I therefore would like to thank the National Planning Authority for providing this platform where invaluable voices and perspectives of people, including the youth, can be heard so as to contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. As government, we recognize the well-being and future prospects of our youth as being paramount to our collective progress. It is distressing to acknowledge that some of our youth find themselves in a state of hopelessness and disconnected from the opportunities like education, employment, and training which could be provided. We must reflect upon why this situation has persisted, despite the different government initiatives targeting the youth. What are those systematic barriers that hinder the access of our youth to tuition-free UPE and USE? Are there challenges in our workforce with the evolving demands of the job market? Are there gaps in support systems that prevent young people from making informed choices about their future? The NRM government is committed to a multi-pronged approach to addressing the bottlenecks to education and employment. First and foremost, we will continue with our efforts to enhance equal access to quality education at all levels. This includes strengthening and supporting the vocational training programs and creating pathways for lifelong learning to ensure that no youth is left behind. Furthermore, we will actively engage with industries and other employers to better understand their needs and to foster collaboration in providing meaningful opportunities for needs. This will provide or will involve developing apprenticeship programs, internship initiatives, and other avenues that bridge the gap between education and employment. We also recognize the importance of the robust support system for the young people navigating this transitional phase. As His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, has emphasized on several occasions, in addition to knowledge or skills acquisition, the different youth initiatives and programs should focus on ensuring that our youth, especially the needs, have discipline and the right ideology to become productive. In addition, with programs such as Parish Development Model, EMYOGA, Youth Livelihood Program, the Youth Venture Capital Fund, we want to ensure the youth are effectively participating in the money economy by engaging in the 4 sectors of commercial agriculture, manufacturing, services, and ICT, and we shall also continue to support all these with government funds. Furthermore, we recognize the vital role of entrepreneurship and innovation in driving the economic growth and job creation. Initiatives to support young entrepreneurs, facilitate access to capital, and promote innovation hubs will continue to be prioritized. By fostering our environment that encourages creativity and enterprise, we strive to empower our youth not only find employment but also become creators of employment. I call upon all stakeholders, including development partners, education and training institutions, civil society organizations, and the private sector to join us in this endeavor. I believe that together we can create an environment where every young person has the chance to thrive, contribute, and realize their full potential. Thank you for God and my country. And I take this honor to, I continue?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for that very impressive statement. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I want to request that you step back so that we do the launch of the needs report, and you will not close because we are going to continue after your departure. Can I request the country rep, UNFPA, and the chairperson, National Planning Authority, to come in front and join the Right Honorable Prime Minister? Can I have the tab on which the Right Honorable Prime Minister is going to sign? Yes, Right Honorable Prime Minister, they have connected it here. We request that, can I request the PS, Minister of Gender, to join? I'll have, the Right Honorable Prime Minister will sign. And it will be followed by the Chairperson, National Planning Authority, and followed by the country representative, UNFPA. The not in education, not in employment, and not in a training report has been officially launched by the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, represented by the Honorable Minister of State in charge of Youth and Children Affairs, here at Serena Conference Center, Uganda. PS Minister of Gender is signing, and the Executive Director, National Planning Authority, please sign. And to make this more authentic, I want to request the Chairperson, National Youth Council, to come and sign on behalf of the youth of Uganda. Mr. Chairman Jacob Eyeru, please come forward and sign on behalf of all the young people in this country. And shortly, the Permanent Secretary will be seeing off the Right Honorable Prime Minister. But Permanent Secretary, please come back, because we may have some questions to answer. And we are going to continue with the rest of the program. Now, Honorable Jacob Eyeru, before we go into engaging with the rest of the people who are here to make their contribution. Jacobo, you have 2 minutes to conclude.
Thank you.
The 9th of October is a special day in Uganda. We remember our past, celebrate our present, and dream of a brighter future. It is a day to celebrate independence with